We love to should each other. You've probably felt this if you're dealing with opinionated family members or friends that like to let you know everything they think you should do. And we do it at a international, global level as well. You know, what should this country do? What should that country do? What should Israel do? What should we do about Ukraine? It's should. It's a lot of shoulds. And we end up arguing about it, and it never seems to go anywhere. And I don't think it probably doesn't even feel good for you either if you're dealing with, like I said, a family member who's constantly should bombing you, telling you everything you think you should do, usually without any context. And it bothers us if you want to dig into this more, because we're tapping into the is-ought problem, which is a whole library of philosophical literature about basically how do you get an ought from an is. Basically, it's really easy, well, somewhat easy to figure out what is going on, but then how do we get prescriptive language from that? How do we get what we should do, what we ought to do based on that? Now, truth be told, it's extremely difficult, even if we had perfect information, because we don't know exactly. Well, it would only be easy if we had perfect information, which we never do. We never know fully exactly what is going on, because nobody can be perfectly objectively aware of any current situation. And then also, we don't fully understand cause-effect relationships. I mean, even with 99% accuracy, that'd be way more incredible than most situations we're in. So understanding objectively what is going on, and then objectively how any decision we make would result in a specific outcome, is also difficult to understand. So that kind of to the side, just getting a basic prescriptive idea, or, you know, what should I do? What should I major in? What should I study? And this seems to plague a lot of people. Now, I don't presume that I've come up with the magical solution for all that. I mean, if somebody else wants to think that, that's awesome. I'm not going to stop you. But what I have found is the most helpful tool is to contextualize things in a pretty simple kind of if-then statement. This developed kind of really organically for me, just from teaching and coaching martial arts. Pretty regularly, I would get asked, hey, what should I do in this situation? What should I do when this happens? What should I do if I'm trying to, XYZ, fill in the blank? And my response was always, well, what are you trying to do? What is your objective? And that usually resulted in the situation being framed pretty organically in an if-then kind of scenario. Well, if you want to escape, you should do this. If you want to, counterattack, you should do this. A pretty simple way to think about this in common instance that we're all going to face. I'm sorry, my cats you could probably hear them and see them. Pretty simple example of this would be, should I eat more or should I eat less? If we're talking about diet, nutrition, exercise, should you eat more or should you eat less? Well, if you want to gain weight, then you should consume more calories than you expend. If you want to lose weight, then you should consume fewer calories than you expend. And so that will take out a lot of the angst or the frustration or just the talking past one another that I think happens so much when people start saying should. Well, why should anything? Why should I get to anywhere or do anything? And I think so often people we jump into kind of autopilot on should. Well, we should make this punishment. Why? What? Like, cause and effect, situation, action, impact. That's all anything boils down to. We love to should each other, especially morally, right? Like, we love to just frame everything in these just aggressive kind of moral parameters. Like, well, you should do this, or you should be this way. Like, why? Why should anything be anyway? Is it reasonable to expect something? Or are we saying, well, based on what had happened, we should expect this kind of specific outcome? Okay, well, now you're actually having a conversation. So if you're getting browbeaten, beat down by the should bombers of the world, or maybe you're doing it, or maybe you do it to yourself, that's a big one. I definitely struggle with that a lot, feeling like things should be different, or I should be in a different place in life. And that can create a lot of discontent. You know, if you've ever read The Gap in the Gain, I might have mentioned that one before. You know, that's the reason for a lot of even people who are high performers and, you know, way more successful than me will find a lot of discontent because they feel like even if they made $10 million, they feel like they should have made $11 million. And so they're all pissed off because there's this constant creation of a discrepancy between the is that you're experiencing, you know, what is your life, what is the outcome of what you've done, and what do you feel ought to have been, or what do you think ought to be in the future. So as always, hope that little nugget helps.